Howdy guys, it's Joe, and I've been playing a lot of Season 5 competitive in solo queue. And overall, I've had to fill every single role, but I've mainly been playing support and tank, and mainly support. And this season I found a support that I personally feel like is the best support in order to carry yourself. Now, a thing about this season that's a little bit weird compared to previous seasons is that I'd say all of the healing supports in the game right now are actually pretty good. Usually one is good and the other two are bad. There's usually two good ones and two bad ones. That's how it usually works out. But as far as it is right now, you can really pick up any of them and do fine. Mercy works pretty well because of that amazing res potential, and it works pretty well, of course, because of that healing, and because of that ult, which is pretty good for engaging. And of course, Zen works as a great counter engage, and works pretty well to counter Far Mercy because of the damage boost, and, just works overall pretty well against dive comp, again, because damage boost, well, he also does get dived pretty hard, so it's kind of 50-50. But the one that I've been finding that works the best in Overwatch, and the best particularly in solo queue, is Lucio. And I feel like there's a few main reasons for that. Now, of course, Lucio has always been a good pick. We know this. We know that he's been one of the best heroes in Overwatch since ever. And even since you guys rework, he's still been essentially one of the highest play rates in competitive, one of the highest win rates, and he's still amazing. But what are really the main benefits about solo queue, and one of the main benefits about picking Lucio that's so important and so good about picking him compared to other DPS, and I guess mainly compared to other supports, not really DPS? Well, I'd say the main things about him is that A, he is actually a kind of DPS right now. B, he can choose one to engage, and C, he's actually a really safe pick that doesn't have to rely on his team. Now, first off, being able to deal damage. I feel like this is extremely important because not really many other supports can way too much, or mainly quite in the way that he can. As Lucio, of course, you have that nice boop, which can get some jank maps, and like Ilios, and get some good kills, but mainly talking about his damage, we're talking about his main primary fire. Now, some other supports can somewhat get kills. If you're playing Ana, sometimes you can E-grenade, shoot the opponent in melee, and you might get a kill. Not always, but sometimes. And then, of course, as Zen, at medium to far ranges, you might get a few jank kills and get out a decent amount of damage. But I don't feel like that's really consistent enough. It doesn't really come out way too often. And of course, you have to put yourself in pretty dangerous situations, or you have to already be in a dangerous situation, which just doesn't always work for those characters, especially since they don't really have a disengage or any way to actually get in and get out. But that's where Lucio is a little bit different. He can get in with his speed boost and get out. Of course, he can wall ride and is overall pretty safe, while also having the ability to deal a ton of damage. He can technically one-clip any of the supports in the game if he does get a lot of headshots, but the majority of the time he can get 2 to 3 clips and just take out anyone in the enemy's backline. You can do this, of course, at far range and, kind of jank it out, but often right now, what we can actually do is play pretty close and medium range, stay safe on the walls, bound around so you're really hard to kill, and then take people out. We can see this really, really well in DSP Stanky whenever he plays this character, and while it is a little bit weird, and while the playstyle is a lot more unsafe than what other characters would be, if you can happen to learn the DPS, more carry playstyle Lucio, he does really work well like that, and he can actually get quite a bit of kills, and can actually carry people, and carry your team, unlike most of the other supports which I feel like rely much more on their team members. Lucio can actually kind of be the one that's actually making your team actually win, instead of just supporting people that are already making you win. Now, another thing that does kind of go along with that is also choosing engages. One thing that makes Lucio so great is that speed boost, and being able to engage and make his team engage, it's amazing. Of course, with dive comp being so strong right now, it makes sense. It's just so good because it just is. Dive comp's just working out, and you can get everyone in there, and mainly you can choose when you want them to get in there. If you can be a nice shot caller and know when to go in and when are the correct times, you can win your team the entire match by yourself, and that's something I don't feel like any of the other supports can do. You can really carry the match on your back, and while you may not be the one dealing the most damage or getting the most kills, you still can get more than the rest of the other supports, and you still can choose, moreover, when you want to actually do stuff. And it's more in your hands than in everyone else's hands, which is usually what ends up happening with supports. As well, another nice thing is that when you get to choose when to engage, you can also engage with a few people and actually have them help you get some kills. I've had it many times where I'm playing Lucio, we have a Winston or a Diva or something like that, we engage together and we can just jump straight on someone on the backline and take them out. And then it's a 5v6, or I guess a 6v5, and we can just take it on from there, and it's really not way too hard. We can overall quite demolish the enemy's team. Just knowing when to go in and just finding people when they're cut out, being able to go in, deal all your damage, and just do it with all your teammates, is something that's really special about him, and something that I feel like personally is extremely useful in solo queue. being able to not even have to use communication, but just kind of showing your teammates where to go and when to go there. When you're by yourself in solo queue, that's one of the most important things. That's really what I feel like makes people like Reinhardt and makes people like Winston so strong, and being able to do that as a support, along with all your healing and all your damage, that's amazing. And the final thing that I feel like is the most important to most of you support mains out there is that he is a safe pick that does not rely on his team. I've had so many games in the last few days. I've played like 40 or 50 games, but I've had about 10 to 12 of them where our other support other than me is complaining that no one's getting peeled and that no one's helping them out. You know, the Mercy's off by herself in the back and no one's saving the Mercy. And, you know, it's your entire team's fault. And, you know, everything's terrible. And that happens so often. I feel like a lot of support players just aren't realizing that, you know, you can pick a character that is a lot more safe, that's a lot easier to stay alive with, and that can still do a lot of damage and still deal with pretty decent amount of healing. As well with that, I feel like overall, Mercy is pretty survivable and pretty safe if you play her right, but that's a whole different matter. I don't know, I'm just a bit triggered about that. But I feel like a great thing about Lucio is that he is so safe and he doesn't rely on his team really at all. Now, of course, if you are in a 1v6, you know, you don't really want that, you're going to die. But if you're just in a regular team fight, you don't really need one of your teammates to be standing next to you and to be peeling you. You have self-peel with the boop, you have self-peel with your wall ride, the extra speed you get from that, self-peel with the jump off the wall ride, and of course self-peel with your healing, and of course with your speed boost to get away. There's just so much that you can do to save yourself, and so much that makes it really hard for the enemy's flankers to actually take you out. As well with that, you can not only just peel yourself, you can peel other supports as well, which is something I don't really feel like any of the other supports in the game can do. It's something that makes him so unique and can make so that your team can essentially just win the backline by you winning the backline for your team, which some other supports can do. You know, if you get a lot of nice picks as someone like Anna or a lot of nice picks as someone like Zen, you can do it, but I feel like Lucio is just a lot easier. There's just a lot more stuff and that you overall can do, especially in solo queue. Now, of course, if your team is perfectly coordinated, they're perfectly defending you guys, and whatever, you know, the extra healing from other characters might be better. But when you're playing in solo queue, I feel like there's just so much stuff adding together to make Lucio one of the most perfect picks to play right now. So, if you're playing support, you like the role, you want to maybe deal a little bit more damage, maybe be able to deal a little bit more just in the game and have more impact, maybe pick him up. Again, if your team does need more healing, he is not the correct pick for that. He can heal a decent amount, but if you need more, you know, solo healing on someone like the Winston or somebody like, you know, the Diva, you know, you might want to switch to, you know, Zenyatta or go to Anna or even Mercy. But if you do just want to overall deal a lot more and do a lot more in competitive, I feel like Lucio can be a really nice pick and overall can help you do quite well. And he isn't really way too hard. Of course, playing him to his maximum potential, doing a lot of damage, getting a lot of kills, and getting a lot of shot calls does take time to learn and take time to do. But once you can get it down, it'll really help yourself out and really help yourself carry. But anyways, as always, that is just my own personal opinion. Tell me you guys' own opinions in the comment section down below and why you think that way. Anyways, as always, if you enjoyed, press the subscribe button, leave a like. But mainly, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, have a wonderful day.